do think that I watched the Raiders play every week there. I was a little distracted.
You did not. You did not watch them play every week.
I absolutely did. I saw segments. Every game was on in front of my eyes every Sunday. So I did see him play virtually every. Now, I'm not going to jive you. When the Raiders are playing the Chiefs, I wasn't devoted to looking at that game as much as I was, say, the Cowboys and Giants or something like that, because who cares about what the Raiders and Chiefs do? But I saw enough of Jamarcus Russell to agree with you. He's got a rifle, and again, another one. The sample size is too small to declare him a boom or a bust. I'm just saying, I don't understand this. I would say it's about 50-50 from what I've been able to gauge this week of people saying Jay Cutler's a crybaby. People on the Dameshek.com message board are saying, Dave, you're a hypocrite. How can you come down on the Broncos and support Jay Cutler for belly aching about this? Because I imagine the situation. Can't you empathize in your work? What if somebody said, yeah, we'd really rather have someone better than you, and we're trying to get him. Oh, that fell through, so you're still there. I mean, I
completely get it, and I agree with Jay Cutler's feelings of feeling, disrespected and all that. And if I was him, I would also want to go. My take on the whole thing is just, I don't think he's as good as everybody says he is. Even that being said, he's an athlete, and he has to think that he's better than everybody thinks he is. So I get him thinking that he's just the bee's knees, and he should get everything handed to him on a silver platter, and I'd be the same way in a situation.
He is, but listen, to defend Jay Cutler a little bit more. He plays on a team that has not had a great defense since he's been there. His second season is basically a 0 because of his health issues. And, Brandon Marshall is a good receiver, but obviously has some troubles of his own. He has a less than optimal situation that he's playing in. I don't understand why people have been able to declare now, when the season started, about game 3 or 4 of the season, the Ed and the Sass, people were saying Jay Cutler is arguably, and this is, I thought it was hyperbole at the time, but people like Peter King said Jay Cutler, ranking behind Brady and Manning, of course, had Jay Cutler as the third best quarterback in the NFL. I thought that was ludicrous at the time, but now 13 games later, people have now decided that he's mediocre at best. I'm not sure I see what everybody else.
Awful, man.
I didn't say he's mediocre.
Wow,
he ain't better than Carson Palmer.
Based on what exactly, the Ed? Carson Palmer has had, I know never has had a really good defense, but has definitely had some weapons around him since day one. And
his offense gets him there. It's just a bad. Carson Palmer's like Dan Fouts.
I'm not. It's not a matter of me not thinking that Carson Palmer is one of the 8 or 10 best quarterbacks. But
you're one of the guys that think Ben Roethlisberger is like one of the top QBs in the league. I'm like, come on, now they got a defense.
Guess what? If you, I don't want to get into this again, because we're covering old ground here. But let me just say this:
territory that you don't know nothing about.
Let me tell you something, the Ed. If you don't rank at worst Big Ben Roethlisberger in the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, then I don't know what else to say to you. Then you're just, then you simply are wrong. What do you, the Sass. Do you at least put him in that category?
Yeah, I think he rounds out the top 5.
He doesn't, no. Well, listen, I have him at number 3.
I have him 4 or 5.
He's the third best quarterback.
But that kid wants to keep a job with you. That's why he's saying that.
You don't have, where do you have, it's Roethlisberger, by the way. It's not Benlisberger. Where do you have him ranked?
Who?
You.
Got what?
Name quarterbacks besides Manning and Brady. And by the way, I'm not completely convinced that
Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Matt Castle.
Right.
Listen, those 3 better.
Matt Castle is better than
yeah.
All right.
Eli Manning.
All right, great. I'm not sure.
Kurt Warner's.
Oh, come on. Now we're getting
Mark Holmgren. No, wasn't Matt Hasselbeck.
Right, Matt Hasselbeck. All right, this is getting
Rex
silly.
Grossman.
All right, he's not even in the NFL right now. He's not officially on any team in the league right now. Now you're being
Tony Romo.
All right, Tony Romo is another one that was a fallacy. People were saying that for the last year or two that people would prefer to have him. I think we now
I can give you some old time quarterbacks that are way better.
I don't need old time.
Dan Marino, Jim Kelly.
I don't want you to give me a list of Hall of Famers. And by the way, I've got news for you. You talk about Hall of Fame quarterbacks in about 10 or 15 years from now. Guess who's going to be in the Hall of Fame? Number 7, Big Ben.
Peyton Manning.
Well, he'll be there too, and he'll maybe his bust will be right next to one Big Ben Roethlisberger's.
Ben Roethlisberger will never win another Super Bowl, just like Tom Brady never will.
Right, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings, which is enough for him to get into the Hall of Fame historically.
If he gets in the Hall of Fame, Kurt Warner should be in there 2 times.
Well, I don't know if that's possible.
Once for the Rams, once for the Cardinals.
I figured that's what you were going for. I didn't think you thought that he belonged in there because of his deeds with the New York Giants. But all right, hey, the Sass, I don't want to hold on to you too long. I know you've got important things to get to, like food.
Yes.
All right, go eat your food. I see where you're a slave to meals. Gotcha. I'm giving you a chance. What a slap in the face.
What are you talking about?
This is a slap in my face. I'm doing a podcast on ESPN. It goes out around the nation. Nay, around the globe. It's heard in all continents. And I give you a chance to come on the podcast, and you say I have to go get some cold cuts and some bread to eat.
Lord knows when you were going to start the podcast, and I just said, hey, I'm going to go step out for lunch.
I'm sorry
that
my schedule, because of little baby Jean-Claude Van Damme, is now it makes it so that I can't determine my schedule exactly.
How long are you going to just use this crutch of having a second?
I don't know. I know I've used it.
It seems like old hat.
I know I've been using it for about 72 hours now. I know it probably.
Why would you let a little kid tell you what to do? You tell that little kid, listen, little kid, you lay down and I'll be back.
I don't know if he speaks English yet. He just kind of makes grunt noises right now.
And he's got to know. You listen. I'm gonna send you a parenting guide.
Okay, good. I'd like that. Now,
I'll write it up.
What about, though, let's talk about this very quickly, because you have a little boy, too, the Sass.
Yes.
I think this is interesting, what you brought up a second ago here, the Ed. And by the way, Pitt only up 2 with 15 and a half to go here. This is ridiculous, but stop laughing about that. But anyway, quickly, what about that? I would be interested in your insight. You have 5 sons, the Ed, so, and maybe this will help the Sass out as well. I think that, for the most part, I won't tell my son, or my daughter for that matter, I won't say, you must play basketball, you must play football, you better read this kind of book, you better listen to that kind of music. But one exception that I will make is, if you don't root for the Steelers, then you're not going to get to watch NFL football. I'm not going to stand for. Listen, if in Los Angeles, if the boy and the girl grow up to be Dodger fans, that only makes sense. That's natural. They would be watching a perennially good baseball team with a nice tradition and everything else. But especially as long as there's no NFL team, no natural affiliation for them to grow up watching, they better watch the Steelers or they're not allowed to watch. Is that fair?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people over the weekend just telling me, oh, you're going to make your kid be an A's fan? You're going to make him be a Warriors fan, a Raiders fan? And my response is always, he can be whatever fan he wants, but he's going to want to be like his old man, so he'll just naturally become a fan of the teams that I love.
A lot of children grow up and they want to be the opposite. They want to be.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't know. I was born into being the fan of the teams that I am.
I was too, but again, if you're not raising that child in Oakland, then it's a different matter.
Yeah, it is a little bit different, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he can be a Dodger fan and everything, but he'll at least have a second team. The Bay Area teams that I like better be at least his second choice.
Well, listen, both of the kids can root for whichever teams they want, but if they want to watch that sport in my house, then they're going to watch the right team. That's all. Is that fair, the Ed? How do you feel about that?
Well, you sound like you kind of mean, but listen. If little baby Shek calls me and says, Uncle Ed, listen.
Yeah.
If he says, Uncle Ed.
He's not going to call you Uncle Ed.
Let me watch the TV. I'll just buy him a TV so he can watch whatever game he wants, and I'll get him direct TV, and he'll get the NFL package, and he can do whatever he want to do. Listen, you ain't got to listen. Hey, little baby, you ain't got to listen to what this guy's telling you. I know he says he's your dad, but listen, go ahead, watch whatever team you want to watch.
Well, first of all, it's not Baby Shek, it's Dameshek still, but, and I'm not mean, I'm doing him a favor, ultimately, aren't I, by encouraging him to support a team that is the greatest in its league's history?
How do you say that? I don't understand.
I mean, I don't, by what other standard are you judging things? 6 Super Bowls, that's the most in history, therefore they're the best.
For the time being, but by the time this kid gets to be 20, the Colts will have like 4 more titles, and they'll be.
Is that right? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
And how are they doing that? Peyton Manning have a son that's going to take over in a couple of years when Peyton Manning hits the 40 mark?
Now the Colts going to pick up Graham Harrell from Texas Tech with the second round pick. Back up Peyton Manning, and we just go from there.
By the way,
finally got rid of Tony Dungy, so
that makes a lot of sense. That you're happy that Tony Dungy, who finally delivered a Super Bowl championship there,
he didn't do it. Did he play on the field? No, he didn't.
So coaches don't make any difference?
Sometimes coaches are overrated.